Hello, I'm back again to talk about my Lobo figure. This is the Storm Collectables DC Injustice Gods Among Us Lobo figure. 1/12 scale, I think he's listed as, or 1/10. I think it's 1/12, whatever. Anyways, he's about that 1/10, 1/12, or whatever. Um, I ordered this a couple of years ago. Um, I really started getting into collecting the DC line that Tom McFarlane was putting out. I got really excited when I got that announcement. I've always loved the McFarlane figures from way back in the 90s. I wish I had more. I only have a couple of them left from my original collection back then, from his 90s toy line, like mostly all his spawns and his movie maniacs. I thought those were great. So, of course, the announcement of him getting the DC multiverse, or whatever the fuck it's called, the DC line, I got really excited, just because I sat there and thought about it. I have, obviously, my heart always belonged to Marvel growing up, but I also dug DC comic characters too. When I sat there and thought about it, like, fuck it, I don't really read the DC comic books, but I'll make a collection. Um, I pick and choose like my favorite ones, and when I think of the great representations of the characters, I mean, I bought, like, to kind of go off in a little tangent. Well, not so much a tangent, but I went out and obviously I bought like his first Batman that he put out for that line, the first Superman. I don't have the Batman in my display anymore. I replaced that Batman with, I don't even remember which one that was called. I replaced that with the Three Jokers Batman. I found that in a comic book store, pretty cheap. So that's now my Batman in the collection. Then that Superman 2 that he did way back when. I mean, that's going to be replaced. I mean, I've seen better Supermans he put out. Anyways, now I'm just getting off track. At the time, after collecting so many of his figures from the DC line, um, the one that was missing was Lobo. And I remember Lobo from back when I was in high school. I actually read a few issues. I wasn't a huge follower of Lobo, but I thought the fucking character was great. Um, I remember even him, Lobo, being in the old Superman cartoons. The Justice League too. I think he was in the Justice League cartoons back in the 90s. I always thought he was a funny character, and at the time there was no announcement of Tom McFarlane Toys doing a Lobo, and I knew eventually it was down the road he was going to do it. But I went on Big Bad Toy Store and I found the Storm Collectables Lobo, and I'm like, well, he's going to be my Lobo in my collection. Shortly thereafter that, Tom McFarlane announced his Lobo. I didn't really like the way he looked. The sculpt was decent, but the head sculpt bothered me. I didn't really care for that, so that's why the Tom McFarlane Lobo action figure became my Batman that fragged custom, and the Storm Collectables is my go-to Lobo in my collection. Even though Tom McFarlane did update the Lobo to give him his Space Hog, and also comes with Dog, which I just have like a generic uh, Bulldog figure that I just took and kind of like just painted up to make it look more like Dog. It doesn't really scale well at all. I'm thinking sometime down the road I might pick up that new updated Lobo that Tom McFarlane did, mainly for Hog, um, and Dog for that one, and maybe try to make that other Lobo, that second Lobo, maybe turn that into another custom. I don't know yet. Again, it's just one of those things I've thought about. But with this being my Lobo for my collection, um, now I have heard horror stories because I posted about this in a collectors group, Tom McFarlane collectors group, that on Facebook, that I got the Storm Collectables Lobo. He's going to be my Lobo, as I tell everybody. And I heard that these Storm Collectables have a habit of disintegrating. I guess I don't know. I mean, this is my fucking only one, and so far he hasn't been damaged yet. I emphasize yet. Because he basically just stands on my shelf. I barely even move him. Um, yeah, aside from I take him down every once in a while and I post pictures, on my Instagram that I take of him. But yeah, I think this fucking figure is awesome. It's gorgeous. Um, I took and added a black wash to him. I don't know honestly why. What was my reasoning behind it? I just thought if I just give him a black wash and just made him look dirtier, he would look more like the Lobo that I visualize in my head for some strange reason. And you can see too that there are some red paint splatters because I had some Tamalia, Namanimi paints. I use the translucent red. That's my go-to for customizations for blood. I splattered his hook with some of that paint, which in turn sprayed onto the Lobo figure. I had no intentions of doing that. It was actually an honest mistake. And I sat there and thought about it. And I'm like, well, it's fucking Lobo. Lobo would be splattered in blood. I mean, he is a fucking bounty hunter, and he fucking fights. He kills people. So why not have him splatter with fucking blood? I mean, so now that's my that's my Lobo. Um, to get into some accessories and all that fun shit with this guy, he's got the cigar, which I think is a fucking hoot. That actually is a separate accessory that came with him, which I think is fucking great. He's got hands that you could put it in between his fingers. The hook, of course, on the chain. That's great, accessory wise. He's got around back. He's got his holster of the fucking the fanboy, of course. Bite Me fanboy back patch. He's got a shotgun, which of course is going to be a pain in the ass now. Nicely detailed with boom imprinted on it. It's mostly all gray. I might just go back now when I look at it. I might just go back. I might add a little brown to it. I think it's just too gray. Maybe some brown and maybe some silver dry brushing. Oh shit. To give it more of a metallic look on the barrel. Other accessories. He came with 3 heads for this figure. I mean, this is one. This isn't the one that I use for display purposes. I just do this on here just for the video. I fucking like it. The evil smile, nice paint apps on it, the yellow teeth, the bright red eyes that you can barely show up on this camera. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see here. Let me just put the cigar back in back between his fingers, and put him back here a little bit more. Sorry about that. The focus is always terrible with this goddamn thing. Yeah, now my memory's saying I could probably do a 30-minute video before it cuts off. When I was trying to do a longer video earlier, it wasn't going to let me. Then you have this head sculpt, which is more, I wouldn't say neutral, but it's more of a grimace. Not really a smile. Not an evil look. I kind of like the long dreads. I know when I was reading the comics, he didn't have dreadlocks like this. This is probably just a game. I've never played the game either. I'm not really huge into video games. I'd rather collect action figures than play video games. But I know when I was reading the comics, he had more of that Wayne Static haircut. Black hair shooting up, straight up in the air. And then you have this head sculpt has a cigar in his mouth, but I customized it myself. This is also another reason why he's got the blood on him. This is an image that I always thought was fucking great. I pulled right out of the comics. I actually, when I was in high school, I actually went to Northeast Metropolitan Regional Technical High School. I did sign up for commercial arts Unfortunately, it was a shop that wasn't a live shop that you actually went out and had live contracts actually that would bring money to the school. And I did a project actually, and I used this image of Lobo with the bullets wedged in his face for my project. Um, so when I got this figure, I was actually surprised he didn't come with that option. So what I did was I had a model kit of a minigun, not the one that I use for my Blaine custom. It was bigger. It was a 1/6 scale minigun that did have a bullet chain, and all I did was I just took um, cut a cutting tool, just cut the individual bullets, and I just cut them in half and just glued the back ends of them to his face, and just again with the red paint splattered his face with the blood. This is the face that I use, or the head, I should say, that I use for display. He stands up on the shelf. Well, let me. Of course, this is probably going to be not easy because it's on camera now. Just pop the head off. Little ball peg. Oops. Of course. There we go. And yeah, this is the look he has sitting on my shelf with the bullets embedded in his face. Other accessories. I mean, he's got that one hand already on him. He's got the cigar in between his fingers. He's got the same hand for the other arm. Same one. He's got a grip, just like the one he's holding his hook in. Another gripping hand for the other side. 2 fists, so you can fucking punch people in the face and right through their skulls. And he's got 2 trigger hands. Oh, I thought he was going to fall over. I was thinking to myself, oh, that'd be great. You guys watched one figure break on camera, or discovering discovered a figure of mine was broken on camera, and I was going to say, watch him topple over, and that's when he actually breaks when I'm trying to record this video. Overall, again, great looking figure, I think. A good size. Let's get out the trusty D scale. I mean, how tall is he? Oops, just knocked the cigar out of his hands. I'm doing fucking great today. He looks about 8.5 inches tall, which is good size for him for both 1/6 scale or 1/7, however you want to display him in. Again, no, I might as well just take this out if I'm going to show articulation. Now, head, got a nice range of motion. Looks down pretty well. Pretty good, I think. Not much up because of the hair. Upper torso, ball joint, which is kind of tight. I've taken heat to him and I popped him apart. I put a little of my silicone lubricant in there, or silicone, or whatever. Silicone, whatever you want to fucking call it, lubricant in there. It's still kind of a tight fit. Like ball joint at the waist. He's got that rubber diaper that a lot of figures have that people aren't really fans of, that McFarlane Toys and NECA does. He's got good shoulder range. Pretty much a butterfly joint in there. And there's a floating piece that covers up. There's a peg with a ball joint on the end of it. So good range of movement. Shoulders. I had to put the lubricant in there too because these things were so tight. One side is actually looser than the other. And now I'm getting some good motion out of here, but it's either one side's really tight and the other side's not. Shoulder drops down, you go raise it up. You got your bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. Not that much. He's kind of thick, so you don't get that much for a bend. And also you got the his gauntlet, which is a separate rubber piece on his hand gets in the way. A ball joint and peg on the wrist. So you got your you got the hand that pops right off. A little peg on the end of it. That's all. And the hands are rubbery, rubber, whatever you want to say. Same thing on this arm, double jointed elbows. I'm not going to bother taking the hook out of there because, this is the better grip, but at the same time, because it's so tight, I'm afraid of either breaking the hook or trying to get it in there. But the fingers fit. The fingers are a bit pliable, but not as pliable as you would hope. So I'm afraid of that breaking. Now the thighs, I think this is probably like where some of the people have the issues with the Storm Collectible figures, because I think they did the same thing with their God, what is the other character's name? Drawing a blank. Doomsday? Is it Doomsday? No. Oh, who the fuck is it? Bane, I think. Bane's got the thunder thighs. And I think that's where people have the issues. The thunder thighs and the kind of like the short, the tiny vest that doesn't quite go down. I mean, that I could fucking care less about how the length of his vest, how far it comes down on him. But yeah, I'll have to say though, the thick thighs are kind of bothersome, I think. But I think that's for the hide the hip joint in there. I mean, there's a twist or swivel above it. It rotates on that, but I think it's just big. I think it's a giant ball joint in there. I'm not sure. Random remote falls off the shelf. Yeah, now you can see the joint a little bit better. There's a bit of a ball joint in there on the hips that the leg fits on. He's got double jointed knees. Not that deep of a bend in there. Again, I'm afraid of just pushing this thing to its limits and having it break. But, whatever. It will happen probably eventually. Saying that tonight's going to break. Ankle. Get a slight rock. Up and down. I haven't really tried to see. I might probably have to take heat to this and take a good look at it, see how those ankles work. I mean, I know sometimes you can turn the ball joint that's in there and get a range of motion the other in the other directions, like a twist. There really isn't really that much of a twist in there. You get up and down. You get your rocker. Same thing with this one, up and down rocker. And he's got a toe articulation, but that's about as far. Take a look close up. That's about as far as I can get it to go. I haven't tried to push it for any further, and I think it might be because of the plate that's on the top of the boot. But again, I just don't want to push this thing beyond its limits. I mean, yeah, there's going to be complaints about it, but I'd say, like I said, 99% of the time, my action figures just sit on the fucking shelf. I'm not going for big dramatic poses and battle scenes straight out of the comics or whatever. And I don't really think, him being a brawler, not gonna be expecting to get Spider-Man poses out of him. But yeah, that's my Storm Collectables DC what the fuck Justice Lobo. My Lobo for my main man, my main Lobo for my whatever. Try to say something witty so it's not coming out. The main action figure for my collection. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank the main action figure to my collection. Whatever. All right, video's over. Get the fuck out of here.